First question was, how do you feel about month-long campaigns for promos? Yeah, I'm going to give you the answer about length of campaign and length of promos. It's kind of like saying how long should a movie be or how long should a song be? Well, some songs can be 2 minutes and 20 seconds, and some songs need to be 7 minutes long. There's no magic length of time that a campaign needs to run. It needs to be long enough to be effective, but not so long to where it starts getting boring to the audience. You've got to get a good feel for that. We had a webinar a few months ago about contests and promotions, and I'm going to bring that one back probably within the next year or so. And ideally, I will say this, that the audience's attention span is shorter than it's been in the past. And because audience attention spans are shorter, you have two challenges. Number one is you need to move through your campaigns faster, and you need to change your messaging and inspire audience with more excitement more frequently. All right. So you've got a creative challenge in the promos that you run, and you've got a challenge in not leaving a campaign on so long to where it gets redundant, stale, and boring. And redundant, stale, and boring happens sooner now than it happened in the past. Hopefully all that makes sense. But there is no right and wrong length of time. I think, in the presentation that you just saw, I talked a lot about keeping a storyline moving forward. And writing creative promos that only tell one part of the story. That way the messaging doesn't get redundant, even though the promo is repetitive, if that makes sense. And the more creative you are with doing that, the longer the campaign can run. So it depends on what that campaign's all about. If it's an imaging campaign, or if it's a branding campaign, if it's a pro campaign for a feature on the radio or a contest or whatever that is. Next question is similar to that. What's the standard length of a promo? Well, again, it's a promo should be just like a break on the air, as short as it can be, but as long as it needs to be. And I'm all for taking as much time as you need to have a really effective promo. Some of the examples I played for you today, I think that Bob Dylan promo I played at the end, which is one of my all-time favorite promos. It's 1 minute and 42 seconds. That's too long, but it moved forward and it did everything that promo needed to do. I've also heard 10-second promos that do everything they need to do. So it's how long do you need to paint the picture to accomplish those three things, or at least one or two of those three things that are on what every promo should do, and communicate a message with excitement. Don't limit the length of a promo just to have a short promo. When you do that, you end up with, number one, an ineffective promo, and that's too much time. You can do a 10-second promo that says all the right words but doesn't communicate anything. And if it doesn't communicate anything, that's too long. Next question is the best practices for keeping promos fresh and relevant and help young, inexperienced staff or talent make better promos. I think that was probably covered pretty much in the webinar today. I think that having a vision is the number one thing. I found that young, inexperienced talent is going to learn by demonstration and communication and getting them involved more than anything. And just because they're inexperienced doesn't mean they don't have great ideas. There's a lot of personalities and a lot of people just getting into radio, especially young people who hear things differently, they see things differently, and they have a whole different creative approach. And I think we do our stations a disservice by not listening to them more. And it's not that they're going to have the final product, but they're going to say something every once in a while that can inspire something really creative and something different that speaks to themselves and speaks to the peers and people like them. And I think we can really learn a lot from those people. Next question is, how can you make the listener do something or feel something in the shortest amount of time? And also, why do we make promos? A lot of the promos are repetitive, and do we really need them? Can't we just get back to the music faster? Well, if you take that to the extreme, you can take everything off your radio station and get back to the music even faster. And I don't mean that to be a flippant comment, but I don't think that it's all about getting back to the music as fast as you can. Otherwise, we have no reason for personalities. We have no reason for contests or promotions or features. The radio experience isn't just playing a collection of songs and seeing how many we can get on the air. It's about creating art, and it's about creating a brand and a product that working together with all the things together, and music is certainly an important part of that on most of your stations. All of those elements working together creates something that's greater than the sum of its parts. And I believe promos are a really important part of that, to do those things that we talked about today, about establishing your brand values, supporting who you are, driving call to action to get more listening. All of those things go into it. Next question is, what are the most important elements of copy construction for promos today? I'll touch on that briefly. I think I answered that in the 3 things that a promo should do, which is to move a story forward, have a call to action, and support your brand values. Those are the 3 things. Now, again, every promo should do at least one of those 3 things. Most promos should do 2 of those things. And if you can get a promo to do all 3 of those things, then you've got an award winner. So those are the most important elements of copy construction for promos. Promo length and promo frequency. What kind of promos gather the attention of millennials and Gen Z? Well, we could do a whole another hour on millennials and Gen Z. They're very different people, but I'm going to direct you to my website. I've got a whole presentation on that, a seminar on demand. If you go to the website and click webinars, it's called How to Fix Your Station for Generation Now. And it comes off of a study I did on millennials through focus groups with a bunch of my client stations about a year ago. In fact, it was a year ago this month, that I learned a lot about them and different ways to promote to them. And the good news about them is that they really do like the radio. They just don't like all the things that are on it. And they give us a lot of clues on how we can appeal to them more successfully. And promos and experiences and money can't buy things are a really important part of that. And they're not listening to the radio just to hear songs. That's really, really important. So there's a sneak peek of it, but I'll direct you to the website. You can get a lot more information there. And if you don't want to watch the webinar on demand, you can do a search for it and do a search for millennial or Generation Now, and it'll bring up a bunch of articles that I've written about it too. How long is too long? And is production better to be over the top, creative, or stick to the details? Well, again, I think I touched on some of this in the seminar today. I don't know that there's any right length for a promo. When I was programming stations here in San Diego, I remember one campaign I had where most of the promos were more than 2 minutes long. And, you know, they were effective. Were they too long? Yeah, probably. Especially as many of them as we played. We played at least 1 an hour, and we had several shorter versions that played at other times in the hour. I'm for having promos be focused, be as short as they can be, but as long as they need to be entertaining and to tell different parts of the story. Over the top, creative, or stick to the details, it all depends on the promo that you're creating. The promos I played for you today were very different, from the country promo from Dierks Bentley to the Shom FM rock promos, to that cool promo about heart, to We Live Here Too. They're very different promos. There's different emotions. There's different feels in all of them. So some of those were, you can say they're a little bit over the top with a lot of bells and whistles and fast paced and excitement, but it was communicating a different type of feel, a different goal that some of the other promos were. And so as you go into it, again, go back to the principles in the seminar. Identify what it is that you're selling, what you want the audience to do, and then brainstorm how to make that connection emotionally between your brand, what you have to offer, and those brand values. How do you get best apathetic listeners fired up about the show and the station? How do you get apathetic listeners excited about your show? Have an exciting show. You can't order them to be excited. And it also depends on your format. I mean, there's some stations where the mood service and the brand values aren't exciting. It's not what you're for. Know what you're for. If you're on a soft AC station or a jazz station, listeners aren't going to be excited no matter what you do. And the more excited you try to make them, the more you're going to run them off. So don't, know who you are, know what you're for, and be the best at filling that mood that you can. It doesn't say here what your format is, so I really can't comment much more than that. How soon should we start promos before the event takes place? Great question. I think stations tend to pre-sell and pre-tease longer in some ways than they should, and not long enough in other ways. Let me try to explain that. If you think about movies, a movie might be coming out at Christmas time, and you're already seeing promos for it in the theaters. But they're not giving you a lot of detail about the movie, are they? They're just painting a picture. They're whetting your appetite, getting you ready for something big that's coming, something major. As we get toward the end of the year, we get into the fall, it's going to be more specific, and you're going to start seeing some samples from it, and you're going to start feeling more emotion from it as it gets more specific. And I think we can take a lot of the same approaches to promos on the radio. I really believe that stations need to focus more concentration and heavier promo schedules over shorter periods of time to cause greater response. And that's for several reasons. Number one is the audience isn't paying as much attention as we think they are. So we need more frequency in messaging, but the messages need to be different because those who are paying attention are going to get burned out on it. And so I think if we concentrate more promos over a shorter period of time and create more excitement, more urgency, and more sense of movement, it can work really, really well for you. When the good folks in the sales department sell their souls for mentions in a promo, what's the best way to deal with it? Oh man, here we go. And those good folks in the sales department don't really understand that we're not there just to serve their clients. We're there to serve listeners, which in the long run helps their clients. Look, I don't have a problem with bringing sponsors into the promos that you're doing for the station. I think it's a good idea, but you need to be able to control that. One of the techniques that I've had on it is to find out how many promos we absolutely positively have to run. How many mentions does each sponsor need? And then divide them up between all the promos. So you're not giving a laundry list of sponsors in every one. I can go into a lot more depth on that if you want to shoot me an email. And I think I've got some examples of that on my website too, through some promos that we've done that have showcased. And really that's more fair to a client because now they're not listed with 5 other people. It's focused on one client in one promo, but every time we do a promo, it's a different client that's mentioned. And that can be very, very effective. Length of promo matter, and which is better, a tease or a best of? I assume this means for a morning show. What type of promo is better, a tease or a best of? I got a big article on that on my website. I think that the best of promos that, if you missed us this morning, here's what you missed. I don't think they're very effective. I never see a late night TV talk show run a promo of what was on last night's show with people laughing because I can't do anything with it. Okay, great. That was the guest last night. Sure looked like fun. Sorry I missed it. What do I do with that? It doesn't inspire viewing for tonight. Every late night TV talk show I see is promoting on the next Jimmy Kimmel or tonight on Colbert. It's promoting what you're going to miss if you don't tune in. And I think that's the general way that we should be promoting radio shows on the radio. The promos should be promoting me to something I can take action on in the future, make it easy, make it at a specific time, make it fun, make it exciting, and tell me what I can get when I can get something that I like, and do it with personality. So it also showcases your brand and showcases your personality brand. Joe, that's all the pre-questions that I had. I'm going to get on to some of them that you're asking online now in the chat box. Joe says, how often do you suggest meeting with the sales staff and on-air talent? Well, with the sales staff, as little as you have to. I'm just kidding. Actually, some of my best friends were in the sales department. I think we got to communicate. I think the more that you communicate and the more that everybody gets on the same page and the more that everyone feels like they're on a team and that they're respected and that they're valued, the less problems you're going to have. And it doesn't mean you're going to have no problems. It means you're going to have less problems. And you're still going to have problems because you've got completely different goals. But I would meet with the sales staff. I'm working with a client right now that is has a problem with the internal image of their morning show. They've got a morning show that is absolutely killing it, but the sales department doesn't think they're all that. And it's because they're not seeing what the listener sees and hears. And the programming team has done a really lousy job of representing it internally. And so it's a marketing effort to communicate, to bring them up to speed, and to promote them internally to get the other side of the building really excited. I've got another station that's got a feature on the morning show that runs every single hour, and it's promoted 8 times a day outside the morning show. There's a preview for it every afternoon in the 5 o'clock hour. So it's getting mentioned or promoted probably 15 to 17 times a day. And the sales department doesn't understand the value of that, so there's no sponsor on it. Can you believe that? Instead, they're out trying to create all these new things for sponsors that isn't going to get them any traction. Why not put them on the most valuable thing, the most famous thing on the radio station that's getting all this promotion already? But they haven't thought about doing that because there just isn't a lot of communication. It hasn't been promoted internally. We think that the sales department should know everything that we've got going on the station. We think they should listen. Chances are that sales department's selling 3 or 4 stations, and they probably don't listen to any of them. So we got to promote that. We got to get them excited about it. I don't know how much time that takes. It's at least once a week, I would think, twice a week if you can. I know that that's going to be busy, and nobody has time to do all that, but you got to get in front of them on a regular basis. Air Talent, same thing. The more you communicate, the better it's going to be. Everyone feels like they're on the team, like they're a part of it. They're not disconnected. So invest time. It drives you crazy, and it takes a lot of time, but that's where you really get the payoff. Nina says, at Cumulus, we are generally told that specific rules must be included in our contesting promos. What do you think about having one creative promo and a separate promo that focuses on those boring rules and where to click on our website for further details? I think that's a good idea, Nina. Every company has slightly different rules, and companies who've had a problem with a rule violation and had their hands slapped or been fined are a little bit more sensitive to it than others. I believe that what the FCC, and again, I'm not a lawyer, so this isn't advice, but I believe what the FCC requires stations to do is have the complete rules on once per day between 6 a.m. and midnight. And so, that always satisfied everything for the stations that I've programmed. And that's how most of the stations that I work with manage it. Your company may very well be different, but man, you can't run all the material rules in every promo because it will wear your audience out. But if you have to do it, and if you have to do it multiple times per day, what you're suggesting makes a lot of sense. That would work fine. Dino says, is there a list of action words that have a proven connection with listeners? Words like bonus, maybe. Yeah, Dino, bonus is the magic words that are used by Nielsen in their rating service. They will offer the meter carriers bonuses for the more that they're using their meters, the more that they carry their meters with them. So bonus is definitely one of the action words for sure, without question. I don't have a list of those action words. Bonus is one of them. New is one. New is exciting and it's fresh and people respond to new. You don't want anything to sound like it's stale or ongoing or in the past and old. And by the way, Dino is the one who produced the Jeff and Jen promo that you heard, the one with the laughing for Jeff and Jen's phone scam. Great producer at Star 94.1 in Atlanta, and a smart guy and an all-around good guy too. So thanks for the question, Dino. If you've got some magic words, anybody on the call, and you want to start a list, I'll put them up on my website. So if you've got some action words that you like to use, I'll compile it and we'll put it up there for the community so everyone can participate in that.